Hello everyone, it's me, Z64 here, and today we are back with episode 2 of the Ultimate Guide to Resident Evil Blender Enders, and today we are going to be working on the face posing. Yeah, remember that? Pain in the ass? Listen, this ain't like Yakuza. You see, in my Yakuza Blender Render tutorial, RGG Studio, outside of the newer high mesh that seems to be used in Stranger Than Heaven, and also is used in Pirates in Hawaii, Resident Evil face bones are, Yakuza face bones are very much simpler than this. So how the hell are we going to be using these? Now, I said in the last episode that RE4 Leon has a less detailed face bone structure than RE2 Leon. So we're going to start with him. Now, where do we even start? Let's start with the easy stuff. I'm going to hide your hairs, so you're going to have to look at bald Leon. And hey, let's go into material preview for once. Now, don't panic. If you go into material preview and you wonder why the hell does he look so broken, don't worry. Easy fix. So we're just going to click on the thing, click on the mesh, hide these. I don't know whether at the top, but yeah, we're going to go change the blend mode from alpha blend to opaque, shadow mode to opaque. Now, if you're using if you're using modern Blender, this won't say blend mode, opaque. It will say dithered or blended. Dithered is basically alpha hashed right here. Blended is this. So you're going to change it to dithered on modern Blender. And shadow mode, I do not recall if modern Blender actually lets you turn off the shadows for an object. But in modern Blender, you can also light link to turn off the shadows. But this is Blender Eevee. Let's not worry about that stuff for now. So yeah, let's look at Leon. Let's actually set up a good few lights. I'm gonna put these in the new scene collection. Shift A, we're gonna add a point light. I'm gonna make it really strong. High power. If you're wondering why the colors and light don't look quite right to what you might have, I'll explain that. I'll explain that later in the next episode where I talk about lighting and shading and all this stuff. So we're going to select our armature, and now we are going to start posing the face. So let's start off with the easy stuff, with the eyebrows. So, these are pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go into I'm just going to go into the material preview, render preview, whatever. I'm going to hide his. Never mind. This is going to be tough. Anyways, you're just going to look for these RDI eyebrow bones in RE4. You see you have a universal one, I forgot about, but you have these special ones to sort of cater your thing to make it look more, specified. And if you want your thing to look more right, you use the UI and use the eye bag bones, use the eyebrow bones, and this is basically how you pose the eyebrows. Let's look at that Leon. Oh boy. Now his thing is he's doing the craziest eyebrow raise right now. But his eyes don't really match that. So how do we fix that? Now, you're going to move the eye bones like this. You're going to press G. If you're wondering what I was using to move the eye bones, it wasn't this. This will rotate your bones with the eyebrows. You're going to select this and you're going to drag this, or press G. Press G to move the eyelid bones. So we're just going to move them like this, And boom, bada bing, bada boom. You got very, very, very basic eye movement, but this looks kind of bad from other angles. So you're going to bring it back, not use the chain, hair chain. Um, where the freak is it? We're going to look at the here, and now we're going to bring this back. We're going to bring this forward, actually, and same goes for the other two. Actually, no, we're going to keep them like that. Now we're going to switch from individual origins to median points, and then we're going to rotate them, just like that. Now, yeah, the eyelashes look kind of messed up. So I'm wondering, well, Z64, what's your solution? Well, we have more eyelid bones to deal with. Now, these make, in RE4, they get really annoying to deal with, especially when you just want to select the eye bone. Well, let me show you what this eye bone does. Our eye moves the actual eyeball, but there's an eye bone here for the eye iris, and it does exactly what you think it does. It moves the iris bone. But what is this thing even for, anyways? Well, you use it to dilate the iris. Or you make it bigger, or you make it extremely tiny, to the point where you can't even see it. So we're just going to leave it that way for now. But yeah, now you know the eye bones work. We're going to look for these bones. You see these bones on the edges of the eyes. These are just sort of extra bones. Now we have the eyelid furrow. You're going to move this to sort of get rid of that weirdness. I forgot about that, but still, regardless. And I'd say you should move these over here to make the expression look a little bit more natural. And now we still have an incredibly cursed Leon. But whatever. I don't care. Now, what about these bones? Well, these are essentially moving the other bones. These are essentially moving these bones that I talked about at the start. These are essentially your root bones for your eyelids. So you're going to look for each one of them, and you're going to move them up, kind of like this. Or move them down if you're looking for the down ones. Now, as you can very obviously tell, this looks incredibly unnatural. I'm just over-exaggerating for the purpose of showing how these pose bones work. So yeah, now that you know the eyes and the eyelids and the eye bones and the eyebrows and all that stuff works, what about the rest of this? These hair chain bones. What about this forehead bone? What about this? I say this bone is pretty much useless. I see no good reason to actually use this bone. It really serves no real purpose besides making abominations like what you are seeing right now. But you might be wondering, okay, posing the eyes, posing the eyebrows, posing the eyelids, and posing the eyes is fun and all, but what about the other stuff? Well, that stuff's pretty straightforward. You move it up and down. This is how you should pose. This is for like angry expressions. So let me make a quick angry Leon right now. This is how you basically just make his face look really angry. And you see this? This is just to accentuate the brow furrow. You see he looks really, really, really angry. Now, this expression isn't really as sold as well without wrinkle maps, which I will potentially talk about in a later video, but not this one. But yeah, see that? Angry Leon. The other bones are essentially to support effects like this. These are extra nose bones, and oh boy, the old reliable, the nasolabial folds. These bones are essentially for cheek definition. So I'm gonna put the nose up to the point where he would be basically point where usually you'd start seeing wrinkles on his mouth. So we're gonna rotate these and bring them up. Do the same thing for the nasolabial line, and for here, I say the best course of action is to use matte caps. That way, it is easier to see if you are posing them wrong or not. This nasolabial right here poses these little things. I'd say for these nasolabial bones, you should also bring them back. You should rotate them on the sides so that they get that extra sense of, yeah, I am mad. You can add the nasalis corner. You can move this now. But we're not done yet. Don't stop here. So we'll have nasolabial O3. So that nasolabial line bone is for just to accentuate this. You see how his face already kind of looks like he's mad? That's what the point of the nasolabial bones are for. Nasolabial line bones. But the nasolabial bones are actually to make this look like a proper cheek, like the cheek itself is being protruded. So you see this? Even nasolabial number 1, you're supposed to bring this out from the exterior. Cheek 1, you're going to move the regular cheekbones here. You're going to bring them up. And now, you're just going to continue moving them. Moving those nasolabial lines. Because that's basically how you do this. Basically how you deal with this stuff. So yeah, as you can see, I am kind of just doing it. But really, you just sort of match the look of what you're aiming for with the face. And essentially, you just use every bone to sort of your advantage in order to give the effect you're looking for. I'm going to make him ultra mager, make that jawline really, 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 really prominent. So yeah, this looks incredibly unnatural. Once again, this is for the purposes of demonstration. I don't think you should actually pose like this, because personally, at least, it looks like not that good. Anyways, how do we deal with the mouth? You probably saw me click a jawbone before. But here's the thing with the jaw. Let me just find it. Ah, crap. Now I have the C mouth selected, but as you saw before, this just moves the mouth up here or down here. You can create some really, really cursed images with that, like this. Oh boy. But yeah, let's go back to what it was like before. Now to find that jawbone. I lost it. Now to find the mouth bone. Head, hair, nose tip. There it is. Took too long. When you rotate the jawbone, you'll notice that it only rotates the actual chin. So what if I want to import the mouth? It's the chin. But what if I want to open the mouth? Well, here's where those bones come in. The lower lip bones are exactly what you need. So you're just going to select all of them and you're going to bring them down. So yeah, we'll have this very blocky looking open mouth. We'll smoothen that out by putting these up. But yeah, it is really that simple to open the mouth. Now, what about the mouth corner? Now, just like with the nasolabial folds and the wrinkles and all that stuff, these are just as complicated. You're going to have to move these things, and to make it not look like trash, you're going to have to move extra bones. Like over here, the mouth corner inner, it just isn't enough. You're going to have to move our upper lip A3. You're going to have to move mouth corner A1. Now, all of that alongside the nasolabial folds to get a bone, to get something like this. Once again, there is a lot of steps when it comes to the sides of the mouth, but it's manageable, very manageable if you know what you're doing. You just pose these bones right here, and boom, you're done. You can make him smirk a little bit. We'll keep Leon on that. Now, we'll put the point light around here. If you're on Blender 4.5, 1.2 and up, you're already going to have shadows, but I'm just going to put the shadow bias all the way to 0.01. So that, look at that. He's beautiful. Look at that lighting. Oh my gosh. Versus this, which looks really gross. I'll put it here. And then I will put a light over here. Yep, good enough. Now that we're done with RE4 Leon, let's start looking at RE2 Leon. Now, I mentioned before that RE2 Leon was a lot harder to pose. Now, in my opinion, I say that it's way harder to pose because just look at it. Let's, for example, try to pose the jaw. Let's actually find the jawbone. I don't usually do RE2 3 renders for this reason. This very reason, the teeth. This bone doesn't even let you pose the actual lower half of the jaw, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So if you want to open the mouth, you got to do it the hard way. And listen, that shit ain't fun, I'll tell you. If you want to have them opening their mouths, you got to first move the teeth bone, then You gotta move the mouth lower bones. Then you gotta move the chin bones to sort of accommodate that. So unselect the lip bone. And now we are going to do the same thing we did with Leon from RE4. Open his mouth like this, and boom. We have roughly the same thing. And now it's just sort of following the same formula. The nasolabial fold bones are like this. You just select them. There's a lot more of them in this game. But yeah, I didn't talk about the upper lip bones, but these should be self-explanatory. Yeah, look at that. But overall, the process is the exact same, with one major difference in how the eyebrows work. Remember that universal eyebrow bone for the left side and the right side? That's not here in RE2 Remake. With RE2, let me hide the hair, you have two eyebrow bones, which is why I was kind of freaking out at the beginning. You have the eyebrow bottom bone and the eyebrow top bone. And now, from here, I'd say select both of them. And if you want a character to have thin eyebrows, you use the bottom bone. Or, use the top bone. There, Leon has a pretty thin eyebrow now. And remember how the eyelids had three different bones, some of them being intersected with the eye bone? Well, that's not a thing in RE2 Remake. And remember the iris bone in RE2 Remake as well? That's gone. You just have joint eye right or joint eye left. And it's honestly a lot nicer to do this than the inverse, in my personal honest opinion. You can just pose and do what you did in RE4 Remake. It's a lot easier, in my opinion. But hey, you can move the eyes just fine. The eyelids, you move them up just like before. And the eyelids in the upper eyelid, just like in RE4 Remake, you move the ones that are aligning to the top. And you move them up like this. But the difference here is that you do the same thing with the upper half of the upper eyelid bones. Now you bring them up like this. But overall, there isn't much difference between RE1 and RE4 and RE2. So now let's scratch RE4R Leon off the way, RE2R Leon off the way. So yeah, that's how you deal with the face bones. I had to tackle them in a different video. But now let's work with another game. Let's look at Resident Evil Village for a change. If you're wondering, Requiem is not the same, but it's pretty similar to Resident Evil 4 Remake. So on that front, you'll probably have a similar time posing the face bones of that game and posing the face bones of RE4R. But let's move to RE Village. Now, if you thought RE4 Remake's bones were simpler in comparison, just look at RE3, just look at RE Village. So I am going to go to character CH, and we are going to go back to the Resident Evil Village Ultimate File list to look for... Listen, I would use Ethan Winters, But the problem with him is that he doesn't have any face bones. So instead, we are going to be using Lady Dimitrescu. Don't we love Lady Dimitrescu? Oh my days. Wow. We're going to look for, in CHO2, we're going to look for 1000. So we're going to go there. And by the way, if you're using the asset library, you can drag and drop file, like models directly from Blender. You can drag and drop models directly from the asset library, but I'm not doing that because I don't really like that. So in RE Village, 1000, just like RE2 and RE4, this is your body mesh. The good thing about Village is it actually tells you what it is without even opening it. 120 is your face mesh. I mean, no shit, it freaking says it. So let's import the face mesh. And now, okay, there she is. Oh yeah, I forgot she's massive. um. Oh wow. Look at that. Once again, now we're gonna move these. We're gonna move these up a bit. Now remember when we dealt with Leon in RE4R? Same deal here. Blend mode, you switch the blend mode to dithered or opaque if you're on old Blender like me. Shadow mode is going to be opaque. I don't know if you can change that on Blender 4 or 5. I have it open now. I'm just going to import a Kia. I'm going to show off the importing of from the asset library. So now I'm going to look for characters. And I'm going to import Hunnigan. Let's go for Hunnigan. All you have to do is drag it. Drag it on the scene. Okay, so you'll see this. We're just going to do this. We're just going to click OK. And boom, just like that. The same deal. See, Hunnigan is CHB2. I don't really mind it, whatever. If you want to change the game, I don't know how to do that. I don't use this enough. But yeah, Hunnigan seems, on Blender 5, it seems to not have the issue I have with Blender 4, which is kind of weird, but I don't care at this point. So I'm just going to have this. Oh yeah, look at that. So yeah, in case Leon appears to you the way it is, but yeah, if it's blended, reminder, change to dithered, but I don't think you can turn this on yet. Oh yeah, this is not going to be relevant right now, but for subsurface scattering, if you want backscatter, like scatter from behind the ear, you're going to turn this on, thickness from shadow. Let's just go turn on subsurface. The weight, put it to max. And boom, you see that? Reflects subsurface scattering just like real life, but we'll deal with that later. Turn it off, it doesn't do that. Looks wrong. Turn on from shadow and you get much better like results. Better backscatter results. But hey, let's go back to Resident Evil Village. Close Blender 4. Now, you see, she doesn't have eye bones, which is weird. So we are going to have, we are going to import another model for that. I went on a side tangent, sorry. But yeah, we're going to merge this with Armature 1020. 1030 is for your eye bones, it's for your eye models. Okay, I need to stop doing that. As you can see, look at that. I don't like how low res this is. So I'm going to make that shadow look more nice by putting, as you can see, this is very high. I'm going to lower the resolution of that, but still, I digress. Let's look at this. Now that we have the face model imported, I'm not going to import the hat because I don't really care enough. I was not lying when I said posing Village Bones is way simpler than 4 Remake. So we're going to once again make them smaller, to make them easier to work with. But what do I really mean by that? Because it really seems to be the same deal as RE4 and 2. Except you're missing one crucial detail. The actual face is much less of a hassle to deal with. In fact, I'm going to get to the MT framework soon, but the MT framework is actually, the cutscene heads in the MT framework are actually kind of similar to this. Of course, they're less detailed than this, but, like, they're pretty similar, all things considered. But yeah, you can get much faster results much easier with RE Village heads than you can with RE4 and RE2, because those games are a lot more detailed with their face bones. So yeah, let's bring these up. Bring them up. Let's bring the cheeks. And let me just get this straight. I'm not really saying much here, because once again, just like the body, I think the face bones speak for themselves. Like, if you know the muscles of the face, you will be fine, pretty much. And even if you don't, which is fine, I don't know half the names of these muscles. I don't really know the names of every single muscle on the face. But, like, there. This is a pretty cursed SFM smile. This is not the example of what is a good smile. Obviously, she looks jaded and weird, and this isn't the way she would smile in the game. Don't try to replicate this and wonder why your smiles look bad. That's all I'm saying. But yeah. You just kind of have to move the face bones according to how they are orchestrated. It's really that simple. And I mean it. It's not hard. Once you understand where everything is, it's really easy to just move the face bones. Now you might be wondering, well, wouldn't this be a hassle for animation? Yeah, probably. But I'm not an animator, and I'm pretty certain you're not either, so I don't think it really matters for this. Either way, we look for the jawbone. So let's go. Look. You see this? That jawbone? Same deal as RE4 Remake. You get the bottom bones, all the bottom lips, except now there's less of them. And now you just sort of, well, match the bone to sort of match it to how it looks normally. So you're just going to do that. And I think I am pretty much finished with this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in episode 3, where I talk more about general pose tips and lighting tips.